Good morning.
Good morning. So last time we talked about the difference between emotions and feelings, and then through the conversation we started talking about lonely. Yeah. Loneliness versus being alone. So I want to kind of continue that.
Yeah, this is a tough topic because my observation is a vast amount of people are lonely. Mm-hmm. And I think lonely a lot of times is we have expectations about what should be happening, what marriage should be like, what relationship should be like, and somehow it doesn't all gel, it doesn't connect. And when I look at people, there's lots of people we know, and gee, they're really outgoing, they're laughing a lot, and then they commit suicide.
Right.
You know, it's like, how's that possible?
They have everything.
They have everything in terms of what appears to be everything. But somehow or another, this sense of internal satisfaction, internal connection, doesn't seem to be there. You know, and I understand that. In my reality growing up, there was points in time in my high school days where I had friends, and there were points in times when I was in politics, elected official, and boy, I had lots of room to have all kinds of connection with people, and yet it was really lonely. Mm-hmm. There was places where I would stay home on a Saturday night and read a book. Everybody thought I was in one of 6 different places. So how do you make sense of lonely to a great extent? One of the things that I notice, particularly in relationships, is we get relationships somewhat confused and all lumped together in what it should be. And you and I have talked about this and played in this for years. There's really kind of 3 bubbles that if they're defined, it seems to help. There's a me bubble, there's a you bubble, and there's a we bubble. And they all have different characteristics and components to them. And a lot of times we get them very confused. We think you should be taking care of me.
Or this is what a relationship is. This is what a marriage is. And the times I was the very most lonely in my life was when I was married. Not to you, of course.
Of course.
But another marriage, I was just very lonely, and I realized once I learned about bubbles that there was no me bubble.
Yeah,
there was no me bubble.
And that's where I think a lot of times that loneliness happens, is I have expectations that you should be taking care of me, or they should be doing this, and if they do this, then therefore I would be happy.
Or that I have the expectation that I'm the person in the relationship to take care of the other person.
Sure. So there's lots of assisting, being nurturing, being kind to. That's different than taking care of. But this space of bubbles is really important. So what does your me bubble look like? And my me bubble has no relationship to your you bubble. I like X, and you don't have any interest in X at all. So when X is being demonstrated as my thing, what happens is it gets dragged into a we bubble where the other person says, that's a strange thing you're doing, that's a weird thing you're doing. And so all of a sudden I stop doing my X, and then you stop doing your Y, and then pretty soon we bring this down to some fictitious common denominator where neither of us are doing what we expect to do.
And there's a level of, I think the word is codependency.
Codependency, sure.
That's you are all I have.
Yeah,
there's no me.
And you're not making me happy. You're not doing what I want. So it gets very convoluted in how we anticipate relationships with other people. And consequently, this word lonely comes into play quite often. But let's talk about bubbles for a minute. So I like X, and the way that we've worked out bubbles a lot of times, you don't care for X at all.
Bicycling.
Yeah, so bicycling is not your thing, and I like to go out and ride 30, 40, 50 miles and come back, and I enjoy myself. The way that we've related to that is it's like in terms of some of your gardening things. I like gardening,
Or my dance class.
Or your dance class, better example. So the way we've worked that out is I get really happy and excited when you have a great day of dancing. I'm not interested in that level of dancing. But when you come back and say, I did this, I was really excited, I had so much fun, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You know, we take that a little further into one of the distortions we've talked about in life is this concept of loving somebody. And so, I love you. Well, I love you in how most people say that is, I put my love over there. But in real terms, when you're happy, I smile.
Yes.
When you're unhappy, I don't smile. And so if I can do something that makes you smile, then I feel good.
Yes.
And so in a way, the more appropriate expression is, I love me when I'm with you. Mm-hmm. And so why would I beat you up and punish you and abuse you and insult you, as happens in lots of relationships?
Because it feels yucky in your space when you do that.
It feels terrible. Mm-hmm. I don't like me. I'm emotion. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Yeah. I'm in an emotion expressing something that's making you feel bad or put down. So that space of I love me when I'm with you, it gets really interesting because if I can do something to make you laugh, I feel good.
Right.
At the same time, if I can enjoy myself and come back and say, boy, I just had this great bike ride, and your response is, gee, I'm so excited that you're having a good time.
Yeah.
That's a pretty balanced type of relationship.
Yeah.
There are other things that are in the we space that we don't bring bicycling in, or we bring dancing into that space. And in that we space, I, again, don't have expectations, or our expectations are more clearly defined. Mm-hmm. This is what our we space
Well,
looks
and when
like.
we do a we thing, we verbally a lot of times say, this is a we thing.
Yeah.
And that helps us identify this bubble.
Right.
Just like when I do my dancing, or I go to see my trainer, this is me time.
Exactly.
And that helps me in my mind identify, and it helps me enjoy it a little more. Oh, this is a we thing.
Yeah, and we define it as we things. We simply say, we haven't been doing enough we time.
Yes.
Let's do something that's a we thing. So, so the focus begins to be on what do you like, what do I like, what do we like? Mm-hmm. And so that aspect of loneliness or disconnect gets interrupted, I think, much more effectively when there's a sense of definition of me, a you, and a we.
Yeah.
And the process of engaging with people. And it's in that we space where you take out the me and you, so it doesn't get cluttered up. And then we what do we want to do begins to be a co-creative space rather than, well, I was hoping we would go to such and such, and it's like, well, okay. And it wasn't a we, it was a obligation.
Obligation. We've gotten away from the original topic of lonely, so let's just let that be, and then we can, another week we can.
Well, now that we've talked, I'm not lonely anymore. So, lonely we can talk about a little bit more. So that's all I know.
Good.
So what should we do now?
Let's have a we thing.
Okay, we can have a we conclusion. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we are concluding now. Go out and have a nice we, me, you time and enjoy yourself.